The Red Sox are poised for arguably the most exciting second half that they've had in years, so buckle up for that. Plus, ESPN did not nail this top 100 athletes of the 2000s. Trust me, they did not. We'll talk about that, as well as the songs that we've just heard too freaking much over our lives. Please stop with these songs. All that and more on The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. Coming up, music. Let's play the music. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Welcome to the most boring sports time of the year. Thank you for checking in on your sports talk show, The Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. And while it will be, boring, there's not a lot of high-stakes sports going on, really till football starts in a month and a half, the real games. But if you're a fan of the Boston Red Sox like I am, and most of you listening are, then it actually has a lot of intrigue to it. In fact, more than it has in a couple of years, because shockingly, the Red Sox are very much in this thing. They're a playoff team right now, and they could well be a playoff team at the end of the season. Something that was a far cry from what we were expecting before the season started. In fact, I was predicting them to be right up there with Oakland as the worst teams in the American League. It has not turned out to be that way. The incredible frugality and lack of awareness from the front office and not being able to take the temperature of the fan base and being incredibly cheap and wondering just how long this rebuild is going to be, well, all of a sudden, it looks mouthwateringly good because they have got a plucky team of underdogs who are in a playoff spot, and right behind them, they have the best farm system they've had in a long time, ready to bring some real everyday position players in as soon as next year. Some of the top prospects in baseball. Wow. Boy, has this changed for the Red Sox. And very quickly, it has changed for the Red Sox fans. Not unlike 2013. I'm not saying this team's as good as 2013. But in that year, last place the year before, expecting to be last place again, and by the time you get to this time of year or August, you're like, oh shit, this team could actually win something. This team could win something. And they could be in the postseason. Like that is, which is winning something for this team because of what we had for the expectations at the beginning of this season. They're actually a half game out of the second wild card, but they're only 4.5 behind Baltimore and 3.5 behind the Yankees in the AL East. Again, that lead was 14 games behind the Yankees a month ago. And now it's 3.5. Shades of 78 reversed, anyone? Because this team's come out of nowhere. Jarren Duran, quadruple A player, all-star game MVP, one of the best, pure hitters in the American League this year, wreaking havoc on the base paths and playing a pretty damn good center field. Rafi Devers, money gets to his head, slow start to the season. All he's been is the best power hitter in baseball the last month. He's terrorizing teams. Ceddanne Rafaela, the next Mookie Betts. Oof, man, really? This guy, did you see him at the end of last season? See him at the beginning of this season? Only hits when it matters. Wilyer Abreu. Boy, if you have Wilyer Abreu as the fifth guy in your lineup, you know it's a bad team. He's going to finish top 5 in the AL Rookie of the Year voting. Book that. Masa Yoshida, when's he going to figure it out? Last couple of weeks, he's starting to figure it out a little bit. Starting to look like a 300 hitter. Oh, but your best pitcher coming into the year, Brian Bayo, he's stunk. Yeah, but look how freaking good Tanner Houck has been. All-star. Cutter Crawford hasn't gave up a run in his last 48 outs he's made. Nick Pivetta, serviceable. All of a sudden, you've got a team here. You've got a team. Dom Smith. Talk about making noise. Who the hell is Don Smith? Mike Felger might not know who he is, but the Major League Baseball world knows who he is now. Certainly the pitchers in this league know who he is. So how realistic is this? Because I mentioned they're technically not in a playoff spot right now. They really kind of are. But the fan graphs FanGraphs odds has them at a 53% chance to make the playoffs. 53%. If I told you that before this season with this Red Sox roster that we were looking at, and oh yeah, Tristan Casas is going to be out for 2 or 3 months, you would bite off somebody's hand for that. Here it is, 53%. And still a 3.5% chance to win the division. Weirdly, the Yankees actually have the highest odds to win this AL East, which I think is crazy, even though they don't have as bad a schedule as the Orioles do. The Red Sox are really looking at a postseason team. And if Alex Cora gets this team to the postseason, boy golly, can you afford him? We'll see. Not fun to do on an expiring contract to have a manager have this good a year. But looking ahead, this has changed everything the last few weeks. The Red Sox are in a really weird position as it comes to the trade deadline, which we will talk about as it gets closer, because they're not in a position to trade their prospects. This is, again, as good a prospect pool as they've had in 7 or 8 years. And they have stripped down that farm system and done a lot to build that back up. You're good, but you're not that good in order to start trading some of these top guys. But on the flip side, you want these guys, these prospects, to be up at the big club next year, or have a chance to be up with the big club next year. And to do that, they got to be on the 40-man roster. And a couple of them are not. So you have got to work them into the 40. So the Red Sox could be in a position where they're trading everyday players for other everyday players on expiring contracts. And one name that I think Red Sox fans are going to love to hear, that I think is a good option for this team, because they probably need another starting pitcher. Tanner Houck's already hit his career innings limit, or career innings high. Cutter Crawford has got to be close to that, if not surpass that. So you need another pitcher. How about a guy on an expiring contract who's in his mid-30s but hasn't been injured this year, won the World Series last year, has been a top-of-the-line starter for the last couple of years, and a great postseason pitcher. And oh yeah, he did that for you as well. Nathan Eovaldi. Why not? Half a year left on his contract at $16 million. Has a player option for the next year. Why not? You need a top-end guy. There's a top-end guy. You know, we've seen it. You don't have to sell the fans on Nate Eovaldi. We've seen Nasty Nate before. We've seen him lead us to postseason success. We have seen him leave it all out there on the field in a World Series. We have seen him play every role you want for him on a World Series roster, and then be your ace on a team that was 2 wins away from the World Series. Yeah, this feels a lot like 2021. A lot like it. There wasn't many expectations going into that year. It was still part of a rebuild. 2020, the COVID season, they were awful. And all of a sudden, kind of like this year, guys you hadn't heard of start to plug in some holes, and the team starts winning. And right around this time in 2021, we were like, hey, this team might actually go there and win something. They haven't been 11 games over 500 at this point in the season in 3 years. And even then, it was like, well, this is going to get spoiled. 2022, they had a good start. In June, they had a good little winning streak, but you're like, can't win in the division. Lo and behold, they couldn't win in the division. They didn't make the playoffs. The wet blanket on this Red Sox thing is they do have a tough schedule down the stretch in the last 70 or so games. Not as tough as I had originally thought when looking at the schedule. It's actually the 10th toughest in all baseball, so in the top third there. But 7 against Baltimore, 7 against New York, 3 against the Dodgers, which comes up right after the break, 3 against the Twins, 3 against the Royals. The Twins and the Royals, those are the 2 teams you're going to be battling for that wild card spot, and 3 at the end of July against Seattle, who won't be battling for you in a playoff spot at that, or a wild card spot at that point, but wouldn't be surprised if Houston takes over that division. A lot of that's this month. You got another series with the Yankees this month. You've got the Dodgers right out of the break. You go Yankees and then Mariners to close out July. You've also got 3 against the White Sox. You've got 3 against Colorado. You've got 8 against Toronto, who are fading fast. You've got 6 against the Texas Rangers, who are not good, but are going to be playing some desperate baseball. They're close enough to be playing desperate baseball here in August. First series in August is when you face them. And then 3 against Detroit as well. So those are kind of the both ends of the spectrum. But you look at a team that's right outside a wild card spot right now, and the 10th toughest schedule in baseball. Can this Red Sox team withstand that? I think they can. I really think they can. You get Casas back. You add an arm. There's still, a going for it scenario where they get a big right-handed bat, someone like a Pete Alonso. That's on the table. You get Bayo to pitch well. Bayo has not been good this year. I think you've still got some good baseball left in him. You've shored up your defense a little bit. Ceddanne Rafaela will still have ups and downs to close out this season, but I think there's reason to believe there's still a good hot streak left in him and Wilyer Abreu and Masataka Yoshida before the end of the season. And I think I've said it before, but you get Casas back too. This team is going to be one to be reckoned with, and I'm fascinated to see how they handle this trade deadline. They could stand pat, and I would think they have a good chance still. Not as good a chance as I think right now, but I think they could be a playoff team even if they stand pat. I really do. But it's no guarantee. Anyway, this is going to be a fun, exciting second half of Red Sox baseball. I'm so in for it, man, because it's been dead the last couple of years. It really has. And really, it's been one season that wasn't dead since they last won the World Series in 2018. So I'm excited to see some meaningful baseball for this team in August, in September, and hopefully October as well. We got to talk about the top 100 athletes of the 2000s, at least according to ESPN. And boy, they don't like hockey yet. They still don't like hockey yet. And the songs that we've heard way too much. That's all that and more coming up on The Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. Cam Show with Braden Murray. Powered by Rogue Media Sports Network.
Are you trying to steal my singing thunder, Cam?
A little bit.
Okay.
I can never be you, Braden, when it comes to that, man. That was outstanding. We might look back at the day that Braden's singing saved this show.
I got a text from my mom, randomly. I think it was yesterday morning. And she just said, "So you sang the Star-Spangled Banner?" And it's out of nowhere. I was like,
kinda.
Yes, I guess I did. I did.
Some might allegedly.
I sang a version of the Star-Spangled Banner.
It was an homage to the Star-Spangled Banner.
Yes.
Inspired by our national anthem.
Exactly.
Based on true events. That was a good time. It was a good time. And with how much sports is going on right now, we will be talking about that fondly for a while.
Briefly, did you see that she explained her performance?
That she was drunk?
Yeah, she was drunk and is going to rehab.
Yeah, and honestly, it took a little while for us to get the video up, and by the time we were ready to, we had just stopped recording, and by the time we put the video up, she had already said that, and I was just like, I don't care. I'm putting the video up. I worked too hard on this and put the video up. I don't give a shit. I have a guy I knew in college who will only reach out to me on the most obvious things that I already know. For example, you know me, Braden. I haven't missed a Patriots game. I've missed one Patriots game in 17 years now.
Wow.
I know everything that's happening with the Patriots. And so when they did that Apple documentary, it was 2 episodes in, and this kid had reached out to me and was like, "Hey, did you see they're doing this Patriots documentary?" And I was like, "Brother, if there's anyone you know in your life that knows this, it's me. I am the one." Right?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I guess the Brady Belichick relationship kind of soured at the end." I was like, "No fucking
Really?
shit." I was like,
You don't say.
maybe this is what this documentary is for. Maybe there are enough people like that out there that just lived under a rock. Anyway, all I have to say, he reached out to me when I posted that video and was like, "Yeah, I heard apparently she's going to rehab." It's like, yes, dude, I know. It was like a day later. I
Yeah.
know. Like everyone saw it. Oh man. So anyway, there's not a lot of sports going on, and to peel back the curtain, there was a long. I wouldn't even call it a discussion
No, it was just racking your brain.
before we got in front of the camera of genuinely what the
What's
fuck are we
happening?
going to talk about? Like what? Because I try to we do throw in some elements, obviously like guys naming dudes at Braden's Brain, and you and I we talk a lot about like movies and music and stuff. So there should, in theory, be evergreen topics out there, but we do try to do like what's in the news. It helps out for YouTube, if we're being honest, like what's actually making news right now. And there's just nothing going on. And the only thing that has really pissed me off once again is this Bronny James thing.
Yeah.
I got 2 more fucking notifications about Bronny James last night. Breaking news notifications to my phone.
I did as well. Yes.
One of them was that he sounds like his dad.
Oh, I didn't.
Can you believe that? LeBron James Jr. sounds like LeBron James Sr. No fucking shit. 8 of those notifications in the last 6 days, Braden. 8. I have Celtics notifications I'm signed up for.
Yeah.
I have had 1 in that time span about their number 1 draft pick, their first round draft pick. So that's the only thing that's been really bugging me, and we already did that segment. So
Yep.
I can't fucking believe this. And I'm happy. The kid had a nice game.
But hey, he made his
for him.
first 3-pointer in the summer league.
After 0 for 16. Like literally that just kind of sucks that I'm getting a notification that millions of Americans are probably getting. Bleacher Report's pretty popular, that he's finally at his first 3 after going 0 for 16. Like, come on, dude. Whatever. So there's that going on. It's really just the summer league, and then we're heading into baseball, as you heard me talk about the Red Sox in the Open. So what's going to suck about next week is it's still just going to be baseball. Like, we are still in for a lean couple weeks here, but this is the slowest 2 sports days of the year. The day after the All-Star game and 2 days after the All-Star game, because now none of these teams play on Thursday anymore. So it's really barren. But ESPN tried to save us. They released a list. The top 100 athletes, professional athletes of the 21st century. And, of course, there's some bad picks on here. But, Braden, I think you've been following along with this.
I saw the first 100 to 75.
And you're probably like me, and you're like, let's just wait till they do the whole list.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did.
That's fair. They did finish it today. Great timing by them. And we do have the top 100. Where do you want to start with this, Braden?
I kind of want to start with how they.
You want to start with 100 and just go.
I want to start with a little bit how they did this. Do you want to hear how they did this?
Yeah,
a little bit?
yeah, please.
Okay.
That's really important. Yeah.
So they were given 10 to 25 athletes. Oh wait, paired down pools. Okay, 10 to 25 athletes in each sport who could be considered an overall candidate for the top athlete of their sport of the 21st century.
Okay.
And each voter was presented 2 randomly assigned athletes, and they had to pick which one was better in the 21st century. And there were more than 70,000 votes cast during this, and they were assigned using an ELO rating system. Originally, it was 262 athletes. Now it's down to 100. And that list was then evaluated by a panel of experts for any inconsistencies or oversights.
Interesting.
So nerd stuff.
And what I'm starting to get from this list, and what I don't really like about like any kind of sports lists really, is that they're not looking at these players' peaks. Okay, they're looking at what they did in the 2000s, which that part in a vacuum I understand. It's a list for post-2000. But it's also giving benefit to players who played more in the 2000s.
Right.
Which is what I don't necessarily like. For example, and I'll go halfway up the list or more than halfway up the list to tell you what I'm talking about as I feverishly scroll to get there. 38 is Barry Bonds. Did Barry Bonds play the majority of his career in the 2000s? No. Did not. Did he reach his peak in the 2000s? Arguably, yes.
Yeah.
Arguably. But he had a long peak, and it was really great. But he retired or stopped playing in 2007.
Yeah.
So because of that, they bump him down to 38. And so my first thing is like, but if we're talking about the best players to play in the 2000s, baseball, it's probably Barry Bonds. Yeah. And Barry Bonds' best season is in the 2000s. In 2001, he hit 73 home runs. 73. He was rewriting the record books in his late 30s in the 2000s. How he was doing that? Sure. Whatever.
Irrelevant.
But to this list, it is irrelevant. It is irrelevant. So that's true.
Don't worry about how he got there. Just
because they don't talk about that in their prerequisites. So, but okay, fine. You want it to be, since he only played 2007, he can only be 38th. I don't love that logic, but let's play ball here.
Okay.
But 39th, right behind him, is Kevin Durant, who has been, arguably top 5, definitely a top 10 player in the league every year since 2007. Right. That's 15 years, man, with the injury, lost a year or two with injury in there. That's 15 years. That's a really good run. That should be higher than 39th. I'm sorry, it should be, because I think Dwayne Wade was right. Dwayne Wade's ahead of him at 35. Now, he played 17 or 18 years, which is about the same amount that Kevin Durant has with the injuries, and it was a really, kind of sad ending for Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's a great player. Great player. Kevin Durant is a better player. They both played around the same amount of time in the 2000s. So that's where, I just don't, I don't know. I'm getting kind of lost there. So I really am.
We said
Dirk is 41. Not just an homage to his jersey number. He played 20 years in the 2000s and absolutely was at his peak. And I would argue maybe a better player than Dwayne Wade. But honestly, is he a better player than Kevin Durant? I don't think so. So, now we're like, and both of those guys are ahead of him. So,
we start at 100 or we
do they have the breakdown in there somewhere by sport, right?
They do.
A lot of soccer. Soccer is well represented. Hockey is not, which I'll get to. Basketball, incredibly, is the most well represented by ESPN. Can you believe that? Twice as many basketball players as football players.
And it's also including WNBA players. That's not just
I guess that's true. Hockey, 3 of them. Look, I know you're not a big hockey guy, Braden, but let me throw some knowledge at you, because their first one I think is 23rd, but I'll get to that in a minute.
Their highest rated one, or the first one?
Sorry, highest rated one. Because, and now I got to find it because it's so deep down here.
There's one that I think that's very low.
Well, this one that I'm going to talk about is fucking heinous, and that is 54, Alex Ovechkin.
Oh.
This guy is second on the all-time goals record.
He's probably going to get it.
He has a real legit chance to break Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record. Like, if we're talking about individual stats in the NHL, there is none that is more prestigious than that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's played in the NHL since 2004. So 20 years in the 2000s he has played, and is genuinely a top 10 NHL player, if not a top 5 player of all time. 853 goals, 9-time Rocket Richard winner, which is the league's leading goal scorer, 3-time MVP, and Rookie of the Year, and the NHL points leader in 2008. He is iconic. He is, again, a top 10 at worst player in the history of the league, and has played his whole career in the 2000s. And he's 54th.
What's Gretzky's record?
Good question. 9 something.
Okay.
Right? No, that's not right. Because
I thought it was high 800s.
It's got to be high 800s because Ovechkin's got a real shot to break it.
Look
that up while I do that. While I do this, because Derek Jeter's ranked ahead of him.
So we're not going from 100.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Derek Jeter, who, in my opinion, is one of, if not the most overrated athletes ever. He's a great player and a deserved Hall of Fame.
Well, you're also a Red Sox fan.
Sure. But we have made out Derek Jeter to be the greatest shortstop of all time, which is not true. We have made him out to be like one of the top. He was maybe at one time in a short peak a top 5 player in the league, but outside of that, he wasn't. In fact, they have Adrian Beltre ranked ahead of him, which I don't know that that's necessarily right, but I like that they're at least putting their balls out there. Derek Jeter, whose championship peak was not in the 2000s, and his baseball peak was in the early 2000s, who played less seasons in the 2000s than Alex Ovechkin and was not as dominant a player, is ranked ahead of him. Like, that's from, like, man, I know ESPN covers hockey now, but we're still a few years away from them actually understanding what the fuck this sport is.
Right.
Steve Nash is ranked ahead of him. Adrian Beltre. I'm sorry. Beltre's a great player. And maybe underrated in some respects. He is not a better player in his sport than Alex Ovechkin. Like, what are we doing? That's insane. That's so insane. So that's my biggest takeaway from this is the disrespect that hockey got. I know it's not as big a sport. You don't need to tell me. But that doesn't change. Like you look at the top 10, you want to talk about sports that aren't really appreciated? How about tennis? Mm-hmm. How about gymnastics? How about swimming? Like, so don't give me that shit of, whoa, hockey isn't watched as much. Like, everyone knows who Michael Phelps is, right? Yes. Everyone knows who Michael Phelps is. By the way, he's number 1. Spoiler alert. That's not a bad pick. That's a good pick.
I think it's a
probably.
pretty good pick, yeah.
But how many people really, in the grand scheme of things, have watched a Michael Phelps race?
I would say a majority of the country probably.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I really don't think so. The Olympics are not as big as you think. I think a lot of sports fans
Swimming is, though. Swimming and gymnastics are probably
how many
the two
Usain
biggest.
Bolt races have you watched?
I watched probably his last one. I've probably seen a
and that doesn't mean he's not great, but it's just using the argument of, well, hockey's not as popular. Well, nobody watches sprinting but for real sports fans once every 4 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really – and tennis is the same thing, and it's obviously bigger, I guess, internationally. But popular sport, but nowhere near the team sports in this country. So I find that argument so stupid. Anyway, so yeah, Michael Phelps, number 1, fine. Dominant, right?
Deserved.
28 gold medals. And, like, he is known, absolutely. Like, he's known more than any swimmer ever, by far. And the next would probably be Katie Ledecky.
Yeah.
Like, Serena Williams is 2. In terms of the criteria of this list, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Fine. Dominated her sport. I'm not going to get into the argument of what she would do against a male tennis player because I think it's irrelevant to this list. It's completely irrelevant. She should be number 2. Messi, number 3.
I think that's good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Genuinely maybe the best soccer player ever. Absolutely, and has done it all in the 2000s.
I mean, if we're going, I would probably put him ahead of Serena personally, but...
Okay. I'm going to do a similar argument here for these next 2.
Okay. Ahead of Serena or just...
No.
Should be higher in general.
I'll explain. Number 4 is LeBron.
Bron.
Number 5 is Tom Brady. Now, I will admit, before I get into this argument, it is splitting hairs here. It really is. It is splitting hairs. Splitting hair follicles like Mr. Brady does himself now. I think, and I know my bias, I think Brady should be ahead. I think they had similar individual dominance, and Brady's teams in their context of their sport were better for longer than LeBron's were. And again, this is all going to be context stuff.
I would agree with that.
Because whereas LeBron made super teams.
LeBron's a great individual player.
Right.
Whereas Tom led great teams.
And like really elevated his teams.
Right.
And I'm not saying LeBron didn't elevate teams, but LeBron got the championships because the Cavs were so mismanaged. He did the super team route.
Mm-hmm.
Brady I mean, maybe you can argue it in Tampa did something like that. But until then,
Yeah.
he did not have a supporting cast offensively that should have been a dynasty, and they were because they had Brady. And really, even the second time around, I mean, Julian Edelman never made a Pro Bowl. He had Gronk, which was the great cheat code. He won a Super Bowl 28-3 without him. Gronk wasn't even on the team the last half of the season. He was hurt. So I just think in the context of the NFL, which was even more geared towards parity than the NBA, obviously, because the NBA didn't have any parity, and he was there every year, either in the Super Bowl or in the conference championship game. It did not matter the cast around him. It didn't matter even how good his defense was. Brady got them there. In 2011, they went to the Super Bowl, and they did not win, but had they won, would have been statistically the worst defense to ever win the Super Bowl, and they were 4 points short of that. They didn't get blown out. Brady elevated them more than LeBron elevated his championship teams. Again, to defend my own ass here, I'm not saying LeBron didn't. I mean, he went to the finals with Rodney Hood and Larry Nance and all that.
Yes.
But I think Brady had better adversaries, if we're going to use context as well, with your GOAT, Peyton Manning, a couple of different times than LeBron did a lot of those years. And I go back to the super team route of Brady just was so the opposite of that. And so that's why I would put Brady 4 and LeBron 5th. That's what we're talking about here. I'm not saying LeBron needs to be 20th.
No, I think that would
But you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
I think that's honestly the most important thing about any player is how they elevate their team. And in the ultimate team sport, Brady elevated his team better, I think.
But the list isn't top 100 best teammates. It's top 100 athletes.
I know, but to me, that makes a better athlete.
Okay.
That's a better, you know what I mean? Like if we're talking accomplishments as well, you can't, one player doesn't win a championship, but we still hold that as a part of their legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think of it.
I mean, I think that Tom Brady should be ahead of LeBron, too.
Thank you, brother. You'll be on the show tomorrow.
Yes.
Then rounding out the top 10, Federer, Simone Biles, Tiger, Usain Bolt, Kobe Bryant.
Based on my limited tennis knowledge.
I have thoughts on Kobe Bryant, but go ahead.
Based on my limited tennis knowledge, I think Djokovic should be in the top 10 and not Federer.
And I think
Djokovic
probably
has
why
more
did
Grand
Djokovic
Slams.
start a little bit later?
Probably.
I honestly don't know much.
Most likely.
And so Djokovic is 11 and Nadal is 12th. So, Kobe I find very interesting. Kobe, you look at the resume and you're like, yes. This becomes more of a context argument because I've always thought Tim Duncan was a better player than Kobe. Didn't have the scoring numbers, but it's more of the contextual thing and working in with a championship team. I think Duncan was a better player and more important to his team and to his league. Then again, Kobe did kind of reinvent it in those back-to-back championships. He became a little bit more of a team player, and they were able to go through him a little bit more. But and Duncan is not that far behind, although he's behind Steph Curry, who I also put him ahead of. Curry's 14, Duncan is 16, and Shaq right behind him.
Yeah.
Personally, I would put Duncan ahead of Kobe. And that's not a Celtics-Lakers thing because I'd put him ahead of Curry too. I really would. But
I would put him ahead of Curry. I don't know if I would put him ahead of Kobe.
Fine, bitch.
Okay.
They played, and that's actually a really good apples to apples in terms of they played the same amount of years. They both played in 2016. They both won multiple championships. Kobe would have won 5.
They both won 5.
And Duncan, the 5th one was 99. But yes.
Well, yeah. Well, on the resume,
5
it
total.
has 5.
Yep. So I don't know. That's probably a personal preference. Braden, what is your big gripe with the list? Do you have one that you're just like, how? The way I did like Ovechkin. That's my biggest one so far. It's just hockey in general, but Ovechkin at 54 is crazy. Crosby is 22. That's the highest ranked.
Oh,
hockey
actually,
player.
there was one that I thought was weird.
He's better. I don't. I'm sorry, bro. I can't do real quick. I can't do the racing thing. Auto racing.
I will be the auto racing representative.
Because I know you like F1.
I do like.
There's
I was a
skill
NASCAR
to it, but
guy.
is it an athlete?
F1, yeah. NASCAR.
Is
I
that
don't know
what,
if I
that's
would
what
say.
Lewis Hamilton does, right?
Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher F1.
So why? So okay. So if NASCAR is not and F1 is, why is F1 more of an athletic feat?
Because F1 drivers, they go through extensive athletic training to be able to control their car when they're going upwards of 200 miles per hour, and facing massive G forces.
Doesn't NASCAR go like 180?
Yeah, but I don't know as much about the training required to be a NASCAR driver.
I'm not saying it's not skillful. I just don't. I don't know. It just doesn't ring the same for me as athletics.
I mean,
it's just so weird that Lewis Hamilton is ranked ahead of Sidney Crosby. Diana Taurasi, who's one of the great women's players ever, I could make an argument for Sidney Crosby over her. Aaron Donald, great defensive player. Crosby and Ovechkin are the two best players in their sport of this century.
Here's one that I thought is very low. 91, Aaron Rodgers. Four-time. Here, let me read you what they said.
Yeah.
Four-time NFL MVP.
Started in 08, which is probably what they'll throw at you.
Oh.
That's what they'll say.
But four-time NFL MVP, 10-time Pro Bowler, four-time All-Pro. Four-time first-time All-Pro. Hall of Fame 2010s team. Super Bowl MVP, and Packers career leader in touchdowns. He's also
My
the
biggest
career
gripe
leader.
with that would be he's 86 spots below Brady. He's not as good a player as Brady, but he is not 86 athletes worse.
Absolutely not.
He is not 65 spots worse than Peyton Manning. By the way, Peyton Manning at 26, Braden. You going to take that?
He retired almost 10 years
2016
ago.
though. So did Kobe and so did Duncan.
But
Maybe
Peyton
they
Manning
should
only
be
has
closer.
2 rings.
Yeah. That's going to be the big knock, I think. Albert Pujols at 24. Behind Kevin Garnett, whom I love. I love Garnett. But Pujols was the best hitter in baseball for quite like his peak in his sport is better than Garnett's peak in his sport. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
What do you think about James Harden at 67?
Honestly, dude.
I think that feels high.
High? You think he should be lower?
I mean, he hasn't won a championship.
That's fair. I'm not a James Harden guy. I never have been. I respect what he can do. I don't like the way he plays.
I don't like him.
And I don't think he's like a good teammate, good leader. I as proof is in the pudding with his career accomplishments team-wise. He has just never done anything for me.
No,
he actually, you know how I shit on Wilt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think Harden falls in the same boat in terms of Wilt always thought the best thing he could do for his team was to score as many points as possible.
The one about Westbrook, you think the same about him?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. And Westbrook seems like a nice guy and everything. But he never adapted his game, really. He never developed a jump shot, still to this day.
Well,
And I think, Westbrook has taken a bit of a lesser role these last
step
few
down,
years,
yeah.
but I think both those guys are similar in that they think the best thing they can do for their team to win games is to score as many points as possible, not fit into an offense, not make their teammates better, none of that.
Yeah,
Where's Westbrook on here? Do you have him?
I don't know. But James
Anyway.
Harden last year he said, "I'm not part of a system. I am a system."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why you have no championships. That's it. I mean, you have a little bit more skill than Dwight Howard. That's what we're talking about.
If Chris Paul hadn't hurt his hamstring, I think James Harden might be my favorite Rocket of all time.
Because he would have won a championship? Is that
Yeah.
okay? Yeah, I mean, and his peak was great and everything.
And the way he left,
would
no.
you take Giannis over James Harden?
No.
You wouldn't.
Well, they had a beef when he was in Houston, so I took James Harden's side.
Oh, okay. That wasn't the question, Braden.
Oh, overall?
Yeah, like who would you take for your team? Giannis or James Harden?
I would want Giannis.
Okay. But you don't like him.
I like Giannis now that James Harden's gone. I can have my own opinions of him.
James Harden was handcuffing me to that opinion.
Yeah.
I'll use A-Rod kind of as the same example I gave with Bonds earlier. A-Rod's 43 on the list. Played till 2016. And, I mean, if we're talking the best hitters of the 2000s that played in the 2000s and had peaks in the 2000s, it's Bonds, Pujols, A-Rod. They're all ranked 24th or lower. I don't buy that, man. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. And Ichiro's ahead of him. Love Ichiro. You ask anyone who they would start a team with, they're putting A-Rod over Ichiro. And I think Ichiro actually played less time in the 2000s than A-Rod did. So
What do you think about Shohei at 62?
See, this is where my argument would be different. My criteria would be different from how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's way too low for me.
Really?
Yeah, I think he should be much higher. Because I think he is a better baseball player than Derek Jeter, than Adrian Beltre, who are ranked 9 and 10 spots ahead of him. And probably going to be a better player than David Ortiz. Okay?
Yeah.
But he didn't play as long in the 2000s, and he's still in his peak right now.
Right.
So he doesn't have the accomplishments that those guys do. And baseball, more than any other sport, you kind of throw away the championship thing. It helps, but it's not like what it is in basketball or football. Yeah, I think he should be much higher. I think he's a better baseball player. And, the other baseball players ahead of him, 46 is Scherzer. Tough to compare with a pitcher necessarily because he won't be pitching much anymore.
Yeah.
A-Rod, pretty close. I mean, he's not going to get 700 homers because he came in later in the league, age-wise, than A-Rod did. But better, just as good a peak as A-Rod. A couple MVP awards, doing it from both sides. Anyway. Did I get in the way of your big gripe, Braden?
No, it's just he hasn't won a ring, so I figured that's a bit high.
Rivera's the best closer ever. And I don't want to demean his accomplishments. But, Shohei Ohtani was a top 5 pitcher and top 5 hitter in the league at the same time. Mariano Rivera got 3 outs a game.
I mean, again, it's a weird list because if we're talking about top 100 athletes of the century, Shohei should be up there. But the way that they're doing it, they're based it off accomplishments.
Sure.
Which is Shohei has 2 MVPs and a couple of All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But that's I think why they put Jeter ahead of him. But I just think that's asinine. Because it's not even close, talent-wise. Shohei's doing otherworldly shit, stuff that people haven't done in 100 years. Anyway, both Xavi and Iniesta on there. My man Pedro late in the game in the 90s because he really only played till 2006. He played a couple more years, then had a comeback in 2009. Bryce Harper at 79. Feels like he should be higher, but also one of those guys who doesn't have the team accomplishments yet.
Yeah.
Chris Paul at 83. Take it or leave it. Kawhi Leonard, I think, is a little bit of a better basketball player than Chris Paul and has championships.
Yeah.
But then again, we're also arguing 83 versus 85. And Kawhi came into the league in 2012. So that probably helps. The Chris Paul argument, Venus Williams, oof, that's tough. We all know Sister Serena's way better, but 2 versus 86. Poor Venus, man. Ronaldo, Fenomeno Ronaldo from soccer. Probably should be higher. But didn't play a lot in the 2000s. How about this for evidence? Oh, my God, I didn't even notice this before we get out of this. Aaron Rodgers, 91.
Mm-hmm.
88 is Roy Halladay. Come on. Roy Halladay's a great player. Hall of Famer. Should probably be on this list.
Yeah.
Towards the end, which he is. Come on, dude.
That's low.
He is not. Aaron Rodgers has won 4 MVPs. 4. And a Super Bowl, which, by the way, Roy Halladay did not win a World Series. So what are we doing? Like, come on, man. That's insane, actually. That is insane. Roy, I love Roy. May he rest in peace. But
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, like, is a top 5 quarterback ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Ugh. Pedro at 92. Yeah, whatever. Zlatan and Ronaldinho, 94, 95, not in that order. Zlatan, 95. Zlatan should be higher. How about that?
Okay.
He has achieved everything, right? Did he win that Champions League with Inter? He might not have won the Champions League. Won the league everywhere he went except Man United, which is hilarious. Played from 2000 to about 2021 or 22 or so. Yeah, an absolute terror. Should be higher. What do you think about the cricketer at 97? Tough to argue that resume, man.
Yeah, I mean,
But like, you know,
maybe top
was he
50.
ever a top 5 cricketer?
Well, he's the only one on this list, so probably.
Probably, yeah. Connor McDavid, 98.
I
He
feel
just
so.
hasn't played a long time.
Okay.
Hasn't played a long time in the 2000s. Probably still should be higher. Definitely based on my argument and my criteria, but that's not what we're talking about here. He's won the scoring title 5 times. He's won the MVP 3 times.
Yeah.
700-point seasons in his first 9, and the Conn Smythe Trophy winner in a losing effort. And 99 Ed Reed, who our producer Zach didn't think was as good as Sean Taylor, but deserved spot on this list in the top 100. One of the great safeties
Texans
of all time.
legend.
Yes,
Reed.
that was one of Zach's arguments. Was he just saw how bad he played for the Texans, and he can't put him ahead of Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor only had a peak. You could argue that. It's like John Lennon's greatest career move might have been dying, like not having to go over the deep end afterwards. Anyway, okay, fine list.
So, yeah.
Brady should be ahead of LeBron. Hockey players should be higher. I'm not even arguing for more hockey players on here. But the ones that are
Just
on here
better
should be higher.
ratings.
There might need to be 1 or 2 more players, but anyway, that's the top 100. We should write our own, Braden. What do you think? That could be a project.
That could be a project for us to do in this desert.
I might, man. If I take enough edibles this weekend, I might just do that. Fuck, I might at least like a top 50. I think I could do
Top
a top
50 would be, yeah.
But it would be different in that, like, I don't know enough about. I think we would need to keep it to the 4 major.
You don't know about cricket?
No, and I honestly I don't know enough about tennis. I don't know enough about golf. I don't know enough about swimming. Obviously, Phelps would be my only swimmer on there. Simone Biles would be my only gymnast.
No Ledecky.
But I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't follow it. I know she's great. I know she's got these great accomplishments, but I don't watch it enough.
Right.
You know, I'd have to. Oh, I'm gonna do this. You're more than welcome. I would love to cross-reference with you, or at the least, I do a list and get your opinions on it.
Okay.
I'm really intrigued by that.
Okay.
Golly, we might have something next week. Anyway, we're also gonna talk about what's the other thing we're gonna talk about? We're gonna talk some music. We're gonna talk about what has become America's favorite song, potentially the white world's favorite song, and the tragedy that mostly white people pop music lovers have destroyed over the years. That's next on the Cam Show. Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. And we're going to shift it away from sports a little bit, which we do on this show from time to time. Because I had this thought over the weekend, Braden, and I think I told you about it. I heard the song Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy. Formative song from my youth. I was probably 8 when it came out. I'm not like a huge Fall Out Boy fan, huge fan of the song. And it came out around the same time as Mr. Brightside did, right, 2005 or so. Mr. Brightside, which I liked at the time. I didn't know that was going to make me some like anti-Poser. Like I was such a deep cut, but I did like it at the time, and listened to it here and there sporadically throughout middle school, high school, the same way I did with Sugar We're Going Down. And then all of a sudden, I don't know when it was, 6 or 7, 8 years ago, Mr. Brightside came back. Was it even during COVID? Was it that recently?
It was before COVID.
I was thinking it was before COVID, yeah. It just came back. I don't really know how or why, but it started to get played at parties more.
Mm-hmm.
And people were getting way into it. In the first couple of years, that was fun, man. I was like, hell yeah! Like this is a great song. Obviously, the Killers have seen pretty good commercial success, but I thought like this is good that a band like the Killers is getting this kind of attention, and that they went back on the charts with Mr. Brightside and all that. But now, I roll my eyes when it's played. It was played at a wedding I was at recently, and I was just like, yeah. I get it. Everyone knows Mr. Brightside now. And it's fun to sing.
It is
it's
a fun
great.
song. It is a fun song.
In fact, my girlfriend's dad, this is kind of a quick aside story, but it does come back to Mr. Brightside. My girlfriend's dad went to the Super Bowl in 2011, and the halftime performance, he was there. Well, how do I want to phrase this? He calls home or texts them during the halftime performance and says, "Oh my God, have you guys heard of this new band? They're playing right now. They're great. They're called the Black Eyed Peas."
Huh.
They had gone like mega platinum a couple years earlier with I Got a Feeling. Obviously had success before that. Had a couple of really successful albums before that. This is like 10 years into the Black Eyed Peas experience. He's like, you heard of this new band? Well, wouldn't you know? You know what his favorite song is?
What?
Mr. Brightside. Mr. Brightside. He heard it probably for the first time 4 or 5 years ago. And look, I'm not going to hold it against him. He's like 60, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that this has become watered down. Is that the word? I mean, the song hasn't changed, but we just hear it so much now. It's like, oh yeah, Mr. Brightside's everything. We get it. Like, some of us knew that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not unlike The Office. The Office has become like all the most bland person all the bland people that their favorite show is The Office. They can't stop quoting The Office. And I was like, damn, man, I used to watch The Office when it was on NBC and doing reruns or syndicated on Comedy Central while it was still being shown. Actually, I think it was TBS. While it was still being shown live. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I was kind of early on that train, I guess. I was watching it in 2010. And now it's like, okay, we get it. Yeah, you love The Office. I feel like such a, name 3 of their songs kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad that didn't happen to Sugar We're Going Down. And I know you share some of these sentiments with me because I am so, anal about this music's the most subjective thing. Mm-hmm. It really is. Either you like it or you don't. But I just get pissed off when good songs get played so incessantly much that you don't care for it as much anymore. Yeah. I mean, that's the case with anything. Like if you see any movie enough times, The Shining I'll watch tomorrow and still love it, but it's not what it was the second time I watched it. Do you have any songs like that, Braden, where you're just like, I don't even necessarily hate them, but I've just heard them enough times in my life. I don't need to hear them.
Thought of a few.
By the way, there are some of those that I do hate as well. But go ahead.
I thought of a few while I was sitting here. The first one popped in the head was "I Write Sins, Not Tragedies" by Panic at the Disco.
I never thought that was a great song. Yeah.
I think some of that stems because I'm a theater kid, and theater kids for some reason love Panic at the Disco, and so every theater outing I would go to, they would play that song. And everyone would just scream the lyrics. It's like, what are we doing? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a great song, but I've had enough of that one. Another one I've had enough of, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, good call, Braden. Good call. That is the most low-hanging fruit. What's the greatest song of all time? Oh, obviously it's Bohemian Rhapsody. I never need to hear that song again.
Yeah, I could go without it. Again,
and I understand its brilliance.
Great song.
Just mercy. I give up.
But again, as a theater kids love themselves some Queen, dude.
Oh, I bet.
They love themselves some Queen. And I went to a theater competition sophomore year of high school. And that was around the time when Bohemian Rhapsody, like the movie, came out.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
that's
so
just-
everyone-
that's mercy, man.
Everyone thought that they were Freddie Mercury at Wimbledon doing the sing along.
Lovely, yeah.
They would sing. Yeah, it was bad. It got on my nerves.
Oh, I pulled up an article here, and I want your thoughts on it. It's by Medium, which does a lot of music writing.
Before we do this, can I name one more song?
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were done. Sorry. Yes, absolutely, Braden Murray. Go ahead.
Don't Stop Believin'.
Yeah, that and Bohemian Rhapsody to me are like the crown jewels.
Yeah,
of this
that's the
specific argument.
epitome of this exercise.
And honestly, it stretches to Journey like all the way.
I don't like
'Cause
Journey.
I don't either. And really, if I had to pick one song that I like by Journey, it probably is "Don't Stop Believin'." But stop believing. I don't need to hear it.
I think Guns N' Roses is in that basket.
Yeah, I never liked.
I don't like
them. I
Guns
was
N'
never a fan.
Roses.
Bon Jovi notably is on that list for me. I don't even think they're like terrible. It's just I think it's really uninspiring. I think it's music for dumb people. If we're being totally honest.
Oh, that might,
Which again,
that might piss some people off.
subjective thing. Totally subjective. I said the same thing about Taylor Swift. And I know plenty of people who are big Swifties that I don't think are dumb. But I think if I can say this about TV shows, I think I can say it about music. Yellowstone as the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. I think it's TV for dumb people. Sons of Anarchy, which I saw every episode of. It's a show for dumb people. One of my favorite shows of all time, One Tree Hill. It's a show for dumb people. So I think I can do it with music as well.
Okay. What's this article?
Here's this article, which was written last month. How overplay ruins good songs in 20 examples. It's really just 20 examples. No, this is great, man. 20, Walk This Way, Aerosmith.
Okay. I still like that song a lot.
I like the Run DMC version, and I like Aerosmith. But I can see that. 19, Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Should be higher. But we'll get
It
there.
should be. I actually agree with you, hard body, on that. That should be higher. 18, Smoke on the Water.
Is that overplayed?
That riff. Yeah. 17, this is a song I genuinely just don't even like. Flowers by Miley Cyrus.
Oh, yeah.
And I've heard that a ton recently.
Well, it won a Grammy.
Yeah, I've heard that a ton recently. Like the last couple weeks here.
Oh.
16, I don't know this song. End of Beginning by DJ-O.
Dejo?
Dejo, is that how you say it?
Oh, I think it says Joe.
Oh, sorry. It's 3 capital letters, DJO. Sorry, Joe.
I think.
Idiot.
Don't quote
That's
me
not
on
how you
that.
spell
Because the guy's
Joe.
name is Joe Keery.
Gotcha. I don't know it. Yeah. Yeah, it was Joe.
It's big
Keery.
on TikTok.
The kid was in. Wait,
He was in
Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Is he one of the kids?
No. He's forgetting his name. But he dated Nancy Byers.
Is he? Oh.
He's Steve. He plays Steve.
Oh, okay.
Steve.
Oh.
Steve
He has
Harrington.
a song that's been played too much. Oh. 15. This is one of my least favorite songs ever. Happy by Pharrell Williams.
Okay.
Awful. It's just fucking stupid. And I know you remember this. You're not too young to remember this. There was a stranglehold on that song for a lot of different events. For a good 2 to 3 years, you could not go to any kind of event without fucking hearing that. High school basketball game, bar mitzvah, birthday party, graduation, didn't matter.
When that song came out, I liked that song because I was in their target demographic.
Well, you were like 10.
You're
yeah.
right.
Music for that, not music for dumb people
Music for children.
so much as it is music for children.
Right.
Which I guess if you're 40 and jamming out to that, you'd just be a dumb person.
You know what? I saw a TikTok, maybe it's an Instagram reel, where was someone going around Ireland and asking people what their favorite song was, and some old man said was Happy.
That's sad.
Some old Irish man.
That's sad. Number 14, Sweet Home Alabama.
I
I think it's a good song, but
a good song.
Yeah, I could see that.
was thinking about naming that in the songs I named.
Number 13, how about we keep on the Leonard Skinner theme?
Freebird?
Freebird.
No.
13. It is played a lot.
I can never get sick of Freebird.
It is played a lot. 12, same era as Happy. Uptown Funk, Bruno Mars.
No, I like that song.
Oh, shut up.
I
Just
like that
stop
song.
fucking playing it. That's one that's still played. I think Happy
Yeah.
people got annoyed by. Uptown Funk is still played. Fuck that
I think I
song.
definitely overplayed, but
Ugh. Number 11, Shallow. Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper. Probably.
Okay.
Probably played too much. I like it. Number 10, I was very surprised by this. I like this song, and I just don't. It came out before I was born, so maybe I missed the time where it was played too much. Buddy Holly by Weezer. I never hear that like on any kind of radio station that I listen to when I listen to the
I've
radio.
heard it a couple of times.
I don't know.
But I've heard it 'cause I listen to classic rock
So
radio.
here's the description on this. This one is fully a meme, even without the overplay and excessive use on social media. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Not every hit song is going to be a Bohemian Rhapsody, Dream On, Stairway to Heaven. Sometimes you just need a goofy, carefree tune with a quirky little guitar riff thingy. It's not a bad song. It's just a super serious one, or just not a super serious one. And the only reason most people roll their eyes hearing it is that it's been played for them a million times before.
You know what? Back in like 2018, 2019, that song kind of was everywhere.
Really?
I think so.
On social media?
maybe because I was a
I
theater
could have
kid in
just
high
missed
school,
it, yeah.
but that was a pretty big song.
Number 9, one of my least favorite, if not my least favorite song of all time. Do you know what my least favorite song is?
I don't know.
It's played at every Red Sox home game.
Oh, yes, I do then.
Sweet Caroline, Neil Diamond. Oh my God, dude. I think it would cure my depression if they never played this song again. If this song ceased to exist.
When we
Like,
went
you
to
remember that movie about the Beatles not existing and it just wipes that from history? What if they did that with Sweet Caroline? Oh,
My sister would be very
such a better
happy.
place. Is her name Caroline?
Yes.
It's a great duality because Grace's sister's name is Caroline. She loves the song.
Oh.
And your sister's probably annoyed of hearing it.
She hates it.
Yeah,
When we went to
it
the
sucks.
game, the Red Sox game in June, yeah.
Like, and to be fair, a lot of reason why I hate it is because of the Red Sox thing. It's a really annoying song. I'm sick of it. But the Red Sox can be down 11-2 in the 8th inning, and all the people I hate that have infiltrated my ballpark, the Pink Hats, are like, "Yay, Sweet Caroline!"
And it's not just baseball; it's like China Spring games.
It's
they
everywhere.
play.
Yeah. It's everywhere. Weddings, whatever the fuck, karaoke. Number 8. This is a great song, but it is overplayed. Hotel California.
Okay.
I still think it's a great song though. So, what do you think?
I think definitely overplayed. I love the solo. So
Number 7. All I Want for Christmas. Mariah Carey. I mean, that's fair. It's played
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. I like the song, actually.
I
know that's
that's
off-brand for me, but I do like the song. Okay, now we're getting into some familiar ones again. Number 6, Mr. Brightside.
Okay.
We've been over that.
We have.
I want to see what they say here. Just as some of the upcoming entries, this one was spoiled by the insufferable guys at parties. You know, the ones who will talk your head off about how genius it is and how music just sucks today. Kind of me.
Then is Sicko Mode going to be on here?
We'll see.
Okay.
Number 5, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one that we all have probably played too much ourselves at certain times. But, yeah. Number 4, Seven Nation Army. I hadn't thought of that, but
I think at a time,
yeah. Number 3, yeah. And I'm going to read some of this because I'm just skimming over it. It makes so much sense. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith. I think that,
don't like that
song
song.
sucks.
It's awful.
I think that song is pure dog shit.
I don't like it at all.
And it's their only number 1. As an Aerosmith fan, it genuinely hurts me that this was their only number 1 single. Why the fuck, in bold, was it not Back in the Saddle, Sweet Emotion, Draw the
Back in
Line,
the Saddle's
so
a
many
good
other.
song.
I mean, even I love Dream On, which is probably also gets played a little too much. But, and that stupid fucking movie, Armageddon, like, all of that sucks. Number 2, this hurts. This hurts.
Uh-oh. Oh, I know what it's going to be. Is it Wonderwall?
Wonderwall by Oasis.
That should probably
look,
be
I
number
get it.
1.
I do get it because of what they describe here. Dear douchebags with acoustic guitars, please find a different song to play and ruin your chances of love with. And they say this isn't a bad song at all. It's actually pretty good. But the idiot's playing it to death, implying that it's so deep when it's literally not, which is also true. It's not that deep a song. Nor as much of Oasis's music, my favorite band of all time. That's one of the things I really like about them is they're not too angsty. And that's really too bad because I think it's a great song. I really do. I think it's simple, but a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But I
get
can't
it.
agree
It should
more
be
with
on
this.
the
Like
list.
this is what's happened
Yeah.
to it. That's the two great tragedies of Oasis is that 1, they're not together anymore, and 2, this Wonderwall. And the fact that like Live Forever is probably their best song, and they have such a great catalog, but in this country, all we fucking know is Wonderwall. Number one, this is kind of cheating. They say literally anything by Nickelback, Creed, or any other divorced dad rock band.
What?
I have done a 180 on divorced dad rock.
In what world is Nickelback overplayed?
I think in a world where you're surrounded by divorced dads.
Okay.
Like, there's a subsect where, sure, like, I think that's just, we don't want to hear it again. And, like, that genre of somewhere but, like, medium rock is what I call it, because it's really alternative that tries to be a little bit hard rock with Creed and Nickelback and Daughtry, those kinds of bands. It's a little one note, but I like it. I don't give a shit. I'm not saying, like, I'm a huge Nickelback fan or anything, but there are absolutely some songs that I love to, like, get my grainy voice on and scream at the top.
How you remind me, for sure.
Yeah, dude. Like, Photograph.
Look at
this photograph.
I like Burnt to the Ground.
I love doing Daughtry songs like that. Brings me back to being 10 years old. Like, I know it's stupid. I know it's music for stupid people. I know that. I just don't give a shit. So that's probably a personal thing for me.
With Arms Wide Open's a good one to do that too.
With arms wide open.
Yeah.
Higher, I know you're not a big fan of anymore because of the Rangers thing.
That's still a good song. It's just
a great song.
It's a shame that the Rangers
Let's
are
make
co-opted.
our escape. Come on, let's go there. Let's ask how we stay. How do you feel about Nickelback?
I think they're fine.
That's such a kind of directed meme towards my generation because we grew up with Nickelback really being on the charts. But I think by the time you were into music, they weren't on the charts anymore.
By the time that I was into music, they were the most hated band of all time.
Yeah,
probably.
they were just fully a meme at that point.
Yeah.
Like, we got to, people of my age and give or take a year or two, we got to see them rise and become a meme, like, in our formative years of music. So,
And I think for this generation, it's going to be Imagine Dragons.
oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't think it's unfair to say Imagine Dragons is the worst thing that's ever happened
I
to
think
music.
they're definitely worse. Yeah, they're bad.
Because, like, look, bubblegum pop and shit, I hate, and, like, I don't listen to modern music. I'm such an old guy when it comes to that. But Imagine Dragons has killed a great genre of music, guitar rock, in terms of the pop charts.
Okay.
Like, if you look at the top selling rock groups every year, it's fucking Imagine Dragons.
It is Imagine Dragons. Maroon
and
5.
it's such shit. It's such dog shit. They have no personality, no edge, and no good music.
Can you name any Imagine Dragons members?
Members? No.
I know the lead singer.
Nope.
His name is Dan Reynolds. That's all I know.
That right there. His name is Dan fucking Reynolds.
And he's Mormon.
It's
from
not
Utah.
Mick Jagger. It's Dan Reynolds. It's not Steven Tyler. It's Dan
No.
Reynolds. Who the fuck is that, man?
Exactly.
Axl Rose,
They make
Eddie Van Halen. Like, I don't even love all those bands, but at least John Bon Jovi. That's a fucking name.
they make white suburban mom music.
Oh, it's the worst.
So they think that
it's
they're
just
edgy.
the worst, man.
Yeah.
Fucking, and I was in high school when they started with that, like, Radioactive, and oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was kind of disenfranchised by popular music at that point, but I was like, I cannot believe how fucking bad this group is, and, like, people think they're really good.
I did like
They
Radioactive.
had stadiums at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they still sell out stadiums, but they might.
There's probably enough people
That's
out there that
fucking incredible. Like, think
Like
of the
Imagine
personality of a
Dragons.
person who has to be like, because I think everyone has, like, a band or a musical artist that they can't live without. Like, they will defend them. You know what I mean?
There's
Yours, Bob
someone-
Dylan,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Like, you'll fight for them in anything. It becomes a part of you, your personality, your experience. Who does that for Imagine Dragons? Who does that for Maroon 5? Whom I really liked early on. Honestly, as I just defended them, who does that for Nickelback?
Mm-hmm.
You know? But Imagine Dragons, that's got to be the blandest person you know. At least Swifties have something.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. Oh. Music, man. It's not what it used to be. Oh, yeah. I really never want to hear Sweet Caroline ever again. And it really has sucked that they did that to Mr. Brightside. They
And
did it to
Bohemian
Old Town
Rhapsody.
Road. They did it to Old Town Road,
Yeah.
which I think I've talked about on the show before. When I first discovered that song, it was like a sexual awakening. I was like, oh my God, it's 2019, and I found a new song that not only do I love, but I think can change music for the better. And it didn't. Really, it didn't change music. It was number one for forever, and it just became like you couldn't stop hearing it for 2 or 3 years and just seeing 7-year-old kids dancing to it. And it's like, this is not what it was supposed to be. This is not what it was supposed to be. But when I first heard that, I listened to it. I was walking the campus at Baylor, and I had seen the TikTok about Jimmy Butler, and someone actually found the real song, and I listened to it like 3 times in a row. I was like, finally, fucking finally, something that sounds different. Anyway, what's your number one pick?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Braden, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
We have 23 hours till we start the show tomorrow as we're recording this. It's time to start thinking of some categories, some things to talk about.
Well, we have one. We know that one.
We do know. Guys naming dudes tomorrow. I'm not afraid to tease that. Guys naming dudes tomorrow. We got to think of something else. Anyway, that's Braden Murray.
Oh! Sorry, Eminem is definitely in that category of like artists that.
Like you don't want to hear again?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
How was that born out of? We can do this a couple more minutes. Like, where did that come from? Well, because this is one where, you're not way younger than me. You're considerably younger than me for our age, and that just wouldn't happen in my generation because of when we grew up. But go ahead.
And this is going to be some, Gen Z hates Eminem, blah, 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 blah. I just haven't listened to his last couple albums.
Mm-hmm. I haven't either.
He's not, well, I said having listened to his last couple albums. He's
Gotcha.
bad.
Well,
I don't know if he was
Well, he doesn't have his fastball, Braden.
Was he ever that good, to be honest
Yes.
with you?
Yes. Yes, he was.
Mm.
The Marshall Mathers LP, bro, late 90s, he was fucking incredible. Incredible. And really up through 8 Mile and like Lose Yourself is probably overplayed, by the way,
Yeah.
but is one of the best songs of this century. Is one of the best 10 or 15 songs of this century. Yes. Yeah, he was that great.
I can
But your generation,
people think we're
understand.
trying to cancel Eminem. I just don't think I
No,
like Eminem
I know.
very much.
And the performance has canceled itself in terms of the music industry.
I can
What I
name
will say
Orange
is
with
there's
Banana.
great revisionist history.
Or Nana.
So when he had his comeback in 2010, Recovery, was that the name of the album? It was huge.
What was with the one with Rap God, right?
Yes. Right? Not Afraid was the first big single. And
I
that
don't
was
like that
Eminem
song.
was back. And everyone was so happy. I was way into it. Looking back on that song sucks.
It does. It's not very
It's
good.
not a good song. He has some really good songs on there. Cinderella Man, Spacebound. Like he still had it. Did some good features in there.
I did like when he eviscerated Machine Gun Kelly.
That was
That
good.
was nice. That was nice.
Good. And he got back in the next album. He did like some funny songs again, which I was like, good. This is what like Eminem can be too serious, but he always levels it off with some funny shit. But yeah, looking back on it, Not Afraid is not a good song. And it was what we needed at the time. And that was, I mean, if we're looking at rapper comebacks, there aren't many that are very good. And Eminem's was good. Jay-Z's was good.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of that, once you've lost the luster as a rapper, because since, so much of it is dominated by young listeners,
Yeah.
you might not get it back. But Eminem did. So I'll defend Eminem. Like, I get it. I get, when you grew up, like, by the time I was listening to music, Eminem was like the guy.
Right.
The guy. So, yes, he was that great, to answer your question. This is The Cam Show, brought to you by Rogue Media Sports Network. We'll be back tomorrow. Braden's going to be here. I'm going to be here.
I will be here. Zach will be here.
Zach will be here for sure. Talking dudes. He'll definitely be here. We're going to do the music and everything.
Oh, the music.
Like the outro music right now.
We are Rogue Media Sports.